Banter.
Classic movie banter.
I just want to throw banter.
About being a cat.
Let me be a cat.
So Nathan.
Meow.
Pets.
Oh, pets. Of course it's going to be about
yeah,
fucking
of
pets.
Of course it's going to be pets. I mean,
Hi.
wasn't it inevitable? So,
yeah.
are you... This is the question of the day.
Okay, isn't it though?
Really? Are you a cat or a dog man?
Oh, have we talked about this?
No.
Okay, maybe I'm hallucinating, but I have a very strong opinion on this, as I do most things.
I'm glad, yeah.
So I was raised with a cat, right? So had a cat, one cat, all I ever had, right? Love dogs. If I wanted to see a dog, I'd go to my other friend's house and they'd be like, "Hello, friend, can I see your dog?" Play with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a cat person who loves dogs. I feel like a lot of cat people like dogs. But dog people, boy, can they not stand cats.
Interesting. Yeah.
Is this a bigoted opinion? Like, am I wrong?
Well, I think I'm the living proof that you are in fact wrong. Because I'd say I'm probably a dog man that also enjoys the company of cats.
Hey!
I love cats, yeah. In fact, in my household at the moment,
yes,
I have one dog and 2 cats.
I didn't know you had cats.
Yeah, there's 2 cats in my house, yeah.
How have we never talked about your cats?
I have no idea.
Because we've talked ad nauseum about your dog.
Oh, yeah, my dog. Oh, yeah, because I'm a dog man. But
You are
my
a
cats
dog
are there and I love them as well.
Is this like your not racist kind of thing? Like I have cats, so obviously I don't hate them.
They're just, kept in a cage in the cupboard.
Yeah. We haven't gotten them to lay eggs yet, but we're still trying.
No, and what's great is too, so my dog is nearly 2 years old. So she's
beautiful.
And she's a German Shepherd, so our listeners know. So she's obviously a very big dog. And so she's coming out of that puppy phase at the moment. And what that means is that because there's 2 cats in the house, like you'd imagine it might cause a bit of a ruckus, let's say.
There's a tension, isn't there?
Yeah, but they're starting to get along now.
Ooh.
So like my dog, she follows the cats around.
Oh, does she?
And like very calmly and like sniffs their buttocks and whatnot.
Of
and
course, as they do.
And the cats are kind of like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like,
and are you just?
And so then they kind of like run themselves along my dog, and it's an interesting dynamic they have. And then eventually, obviously, my dog will want to play as a dog, and that's a bit too much for the cats. So they either run away or they chase a German Shepherd, these domestic cats, around the house. And
damn, dude.
Yeah.
And are you just like standing there like Jeff Goldblum trying to make a cure, like for your cat disease?
Oh, you know me.
And they're all just secretly warring in the background with their secret agent shit.
Yeah. They're in the background and I'm just in the foreground of the shot in front of them. Just
it's like that classic movie scene where like you got the headphones on jamming out and they're just like fighting with like lasers in the background.
Yes. Yeah. It's like I don't know. I always think of this is a bad reference, but the Amazing Spider-Man. When the Stan Lee cameo in that, when they're in the library and he's
fun,
just,
the lizards.
Yeah.
We had to bring Spidey into this episode somehow.
I had to, yeah. And hence why I brought it up.
It's good though. I love cats to death, and I grew up with one, and we had a fireplace in my home growing up. So one of my favorite things that our cat used to do was like he would sit in front of the fireplace, like absorb as much heat as possible, and then he'd be lying on your couch or whatever, and he'd just like jump on top of you and just lie on you and transfer that heat. And oh god, it was amazing. It was euphoric.
I mean, cats are great. I think what I like the most about cats is that because dogs are obviously they're wild animals that have been tamed.
Yes.
And cats have been tamed to a certain extent, but they're still like very independent, way more independent.
And they can
than
go
a dog
batshit
is.
crazy if
That's
they need to.
But so when you're say on the street or you're in public and you come across a cat and the cat comes to you for a pat or something. That means that cat is like trusting you. Like it's a bigger deal when a cat comes to you than when a fucking stupid dog.
Yeah, if a stray dog comes up to you
and like and sits for you and gets a pat and a treat or whatever and moves on. But even if you own a cat and it likes you, like that means something. Because that cat could very much be a fucking arsehole to you, to be frank, as cats can do. So yeah, like I think it probably means more if a cat bonds with you and has that special bond.
True.
But
I never thought about it like that.
But because dogs are man's best friend in that sense that we use them for service and whatnot. But cats are independent. So it's pretty cool when like you have a cool bond with the cat.
I feel like they feel like they're top shit. Like they just own everything, whereas a
Oh,
dog
yeah.
will do literally anything for attention. Like,
That's right. Yeah.
cats.
Well, cats can do things for attention too. But say
Oh,
like
yeah.
a dog will bring you a ball and wag its tail and do something cute. A cat will go out and hunt a fucking possum and leave its head on the doorstep and be like, "Why the fuck aren't you like looking after me?" You know what I mean? Like, that's the
so
difference.
true. Have you ever gotten like the classic laser pointer with the cat thing, like where you just like watch them dart around the house?
Oh yeah, it's
so good.
It's incredible. I have like one of like those kids kind of like toy fishing rods.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
you just
yeah.
put something on the end of it, and you just
It's like the ones where like, is this the fishing rod where you have like the plastic fish floating in a little cup, and you just like it's the magnetic one?
kind of, yeah. It's a similar level of like crappiness, like that plastic kind of crappy fishing rod.
Yeah,
you
I
just
know
have
what you're
something
talking
on the
about.
end of it, and you just kind of drag it along the floor, or like reel it in slowly.
Your father's like, this is fishing, son. Like, Dad, when are we going to go to the real river?
What's ironic about that is that real fishermen with that same idea is that I remember when I was in the United States when I was younger and going to Santa Monica Pier, and there was this
With your little magnetic kids fishing rod.
No, there was this guy with a real fishing rod that had like, obviously it didn't have a hook on the line because it would have given away the ruse, but he put, I think it was $100 bill on the end of this line, and he sat on one end of the pier and was reeling this thing towards him and was watching like passers-by, like tourists and stuff, run after this like $100 bill.
Oh
and then
my
eventually it would get back to him and they'd realize that they'd made, it was a bit of a joke. And
He takes off the face mask and it's Ashton Kutcher and he's like, you got punked.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. God, I remember just like I stood next to him for about 10 minutes and just watched him do it to people. And I thought, like, as a kid, I was just like, this is the best thing. I'm going to try this on my cat one day.
And the cat just eats the $100 bill and you're like, shit, it just ate $100.
Yeah, and I kind of just like die on the inside, and then the cat kills a possum and says, "Why don't you love me?" Yeah. God, they're great. Yeah. And then people are like fish people, and you're like,
I had a couple of fish when I was a kid. This is an embarrassing story. So like there was a TV show on Disney Channel. I forget what it was called, but it was about this kid who had a pet goldfish and he was best friends with his pet goldfish. It was in a little bowl. I think his name was Stanley or something like that. Stanley and this fish or something like that. And that's all I remember about this Disney TV show.
I vaguely remember this, yeah, but continue.
This was the thing. I remember I was like 8 or something like that, and I'm like, I want a fucking goldfish. And so I remember for my 8th birthday party, my parents were like, what do you want, young Nathan? And I'm like, I want a goldfish. And I was like, okay, sweet, let's go to the store, get you some goldfish. I ended up getting 4 of them because I'm like, instead of 1, let's have 4.
Fish are so cheap. You know?
They are so cheap.
Yeah.
I remember at the time also at that age just falling in love with sushi, so I was very ravenous about fish. So I had this, yeah. So I had this little
Were you
tank.
breeding these goldfish like in the thought of like sashimi.
I was actually just like ripping off
sashimi.
I was ripping off the plot of Babe. Like,
Oh my god,
that's
yeah.
what I was doing. But I have these 4 goldfish in my room, and I for the first week, I start feeding them, and I'm like, oh, fly my little fishies, and they're all like swimming about, and they're all bumping into each other, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. I talk to them, and they wouldn't talk back. And I think Finding Nemo had just come out as well, so it was like in that like you really want to pet fish.
Yeah, and especially because like in those scenes in Finding Nemo and like the dentist office and like Willem Dafoe. What's his name? Gil? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
God, he strikes again, Dafoe.
Coming back.
You're always welcome on the
Fuck,
podcast.
he was so
buddy.
good in that movie.
He was.
He
Yeah,
was great.
But yeah, like so it's like. I don't know, like as a kid, it kind of sparks your imagination of like the fish in the bowl, like in the tank. Yeah. Anyway, continue. Yeah.
But yeah, and like so. Anyway, I fed them like maybe once when I first bought them, and then I just didn't.
Ooh.
And I come home one afternoon, and there's just one floating at the top of the water, like upside down. And I'm like, and I go up to my father, I'm like, Papa, and he's like, yes, son. And I'm like, my fish is just floating upside down the top. Whatever could it mean? And he's like. And he walks upstairs and he like grabs the fish food and he like feeds the others out my sight, and he brings this one down. I think I called that one Stanley. I think the first one was called Stanley. He's like, son, Stanley's got to go. And then I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, down the toilet. And I was like mortified. And I'm like, no, we can't like have Stanley go down a toilet. And so he's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I'm like, well, I'm like, let's just give him a proper funeral.
Yes.
And so I grabbed my mother and my sister and my father, who couldn't give any more shits about the fish than me. And like we all go down. Our house is on a river, and like we go down to the river, and we all stand there in silence. And my mother's like, "Do you want to say some words, Nathan?" And this is me like after like a week of owning the fish, mind you. So like no time had passed, and I'm like, Stanley, I wish you didn't die. And I was holding him out, about to throw him into the river, and as I was about to let him go, my father said, "Well, then you should probably feed the fish." And as he said, I dropped him into the water, and like he plomped in, and then immediately like some like birds came over to probably feed in his corpse, some shit like that. And I was distraught. And then you think, Brenton, I would have learned from that lesson.
And one by one, those fish.
It was a fish holocaust, Brenton. Frankly, all three went immediately after that.
They just floated to the surface one by one.
It lasted like 2 weeks. And after that, I remember looking at my cat and I'm like, thank God I'm not responsible for you.
Welcome to episode number 2020 Classic Movie Banter.
Episode 20.
We've made it.
Again, we don't have drinks for this. We didn't do this for episode 10. We didn't do this for 20.
What do we do? When will we have drinks?
I don't know. The next big milestone's 25, I reckon. That's like a quarter of 100.
Yeah.
At least that's
quarter
what my
of a
maths
century,
told me.
yeah.
So, yeah, congrats, buddy.
Yeah, dude.
Happy 20 eps.
Oh, it's a good feeling.
Isn't it?
Feeling. There's more work to do, of course, but
it's like the classic, like when the Prime Minister gets sworn, it's like, but there's still work to be done. he's grabbing a shovel, he's walking down Parliament steps, he's like, but we gotta get back to work.
He just hands it to someone else.
And he cuts a ribbon and he's like, we gotta get this country back to work. This is a nice moment for the party and for myself, and a lovely achievement. But there's still work to be done. And he sits down. And we need a united Australia to make things happen. That's right. That's why we're all going to watch Cats. He goes to the Parliament House, just puts on the movie.
He goes upstairs and watches the fucking block. Like,
we should do an episode on like Australian, like just Australian media, just in general.
Yes,
like,
yes.
I don't know if it's a classic movie. I want to talk about Australian media 20 years ago, which is even better.
They kind of sound like Yogi Bear. Like they have the same kind of like speech pattern of like, "Hey, I'm Yogi Bear.
Yeah.
Oh, let's make Australia great." Like
we just gotta get them, boo. What are you gonna do, boo?
Sums up the situation.
I don't
doesn't
remember anything about Yogi Bear. What he's like? He's got that like park ranger friend. And
and he's got a.
Like, gotta get some hibernation. Like
he's got that hat on. Like
he's got a Yogi Bear hat. I don't even know what accent I'm doing for Yogi.
Yogi Bear. That's like the only joke. Like I'm pretty sure is that he's just like, "Oh, I'm Yogi Bear." It's like, man, that's
Did you ever see
funny.
that CGI film like back in 2011 of Yogi Bear?
I haven't seen it.
It's god awful. It is. And it was right when 3D was becoming a thing. It was like directly after Avatar, and they're just like, and it was like months after Avatar, and like they're like, it's like Yogi Bear in 3D. And I remember like watching the trailer as a kid, and you just see like Yogi Bear and Boo Boo just like going off a log off a river, and they're just like, and they fall towards the camera, and it's like the classic 3D effect. And I remember even as a kid just being like, this is like horseshit.
Well, it's that thing, isn't it? That if it was like just months after Avatar, it was probably Avatar came out and the film hadn't been filmed for 3D, and the studio was like, I'm going to do the Yogi voice again. "Oh, hey, fellas. I got me an idea. 3D Yogi Bear.
Let's put it on the screens."
Yeah, they're kids. They won't tell the difference. Little Nathan knew though.
I knew.
Nathan knew. Yeah,
absolute horseshit.
By little Nathan though, we're talking teenage Nathan. You know,
yeah, I was 13 when that film came out.
15-year-old.
Even then, I was like, nah, not for me. I've got to get back to work, according to the PM.
Yeah, so there's, like I said, there's more work to do on this podcast. Like,
and speaking of more work,
there's more banter to be had.
Isn't there though? Yeah. More banter to. I reckon we need to amp up the banter, if anything.
Oh boy, and let me tell you, episode 20.
We got something special lined up.
Is the episode for the banter to hit the highest heights it's ever had.
I want to preface before we open, because there's some news that came out recently that I want to talk to you about.
Okay,
it came out last week.
Movie news.
We're not a movie news podcast. I don't want to be a movie news podcast.
I don't know. I kind of was going with the Yogi Bear thing and just making it a segment that maybe pops up every now. Oh, movie news. Movie news. Come on, boo boo. It's movie news. That'll do.
And the news for this week.
Don't give me strange looks.
Guess who's in hibernation? Yeah, we have to do it as Yogi Bear. It sounds like a bad Obama impression, I think.
Oh dear.
It's like all the people. He's not going to be president. Anyway, so we're doing a musical this week for our episode to celebrate episode 20. We've only done one musical before, which is West Side Story. If you want to know our thoughts, go listen to our website episode. It's very good. It's a great episode of the podcast.
Oh, if we don't say so ourselves.
Good job. Murder.
Oh dear.
And the news I want to share is that, okay, so West Side Story has been made into a film, right?
Yes.
So Spielberg's going to do it. A prolific filmmaker is going to make a musical, which he probably shouldn't. We'll get back to that later. And Spielberg's going to make West Side Story, and Ansel Elgort got cast as the lead in it. So I just want your opinion, because just to touch base on where we were last time with West Side Story, do you reckon Ansel Elgort and Steven Spielberg are going to make West Side Story worth watching?
No.
No.
Yeah.
God, no. It's going to be horseshit. And actually, I hope it's not.
I hope it's not. I really hope Spielberg kind of hits his stride and does something with it. To which I think he's got something in mind. Like, I've got enough faith in the man.
Yeah.
But time will tell.
Time will tell. Yeah. But anyway, meow, 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 Mr. Brenton, because to celebrate episode 20. So back in episode 2, like in our second ever episode, Animal House, you mentioned to me that we should do an episode on cats.
I can't even remember the context of that statement.
Oh, God.
Or why I made it, or...
Yeah, I was still just like in shock about the film Animal House.
I still kind of stand by it, though, that we needed to do a cats episode. And by cats, what we're referring to is the 1998 direct-to-DVD filmed version of the live stage show that is technically a film because, you know, it's a live adaptation of a stage show that runs, you know, at 2 hours. It's a feature film length. So yeah, I thought that it was worth doing. And
also this week is actually the 20th anniversary of this release. So like, it's exactly 20 years old, Brenton. We're allowed to let the cat out of the bag, as it were.
Let's rip that Band-Aid off.
All right. Brenton, please pitch me cats.
Okay.
Good
so
luck
there was
with
this
this.
bloke called T.S. Eliot. He was a poet, and he wrote a little book, and it had poems it was a book full of poems about cats. Mm-hmm. Specifically jellicle cats.
Ooh, jellicle cats, you say?
Yeah, jellicle cats. We hope that this work will explain what a jellicle cat is. It may or may not. Who knows?
Who knows?
But
so there's these jellicle cats.
There's
right?
these jellicle cats, a clan of cats that I should say, sorry. So then T.S. Eliot's written this book of poems on cats, and Andrew Lloyd Webber, Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber, he decided to make a musical from these poems. Now, instead of making a real plot, he just made these poems into songs and then kind of put them on a stage, and that's a musical. So basically, the plot, or the pitch, I should say, of this film, is that all of this clan of cats, it's that time of year again when old Deuteronomy, the cat's leader, decides that one of these kitty cats is going to kitty heaven. and so he chooses them, but before he can choose them, the kitty cat clan has to decide
the KKK, as it were.
oh my god. Has to decide which cat will ascend to the heavens, and in case anyone forgot, they decide to list them off through song.
And that's it.
That's my pitch. That's the best I've got.
If I was a movie theater producer, and I'm like, okay, so we've had Singing in the Rain, we've had, Sound of Music, we've had, the great musicals. What's the next great musical? And you tell me it's all about cats.
The irony of that, Nathan, is that you're being sarcastic at the moment, but just think, that conversation has actually recently happened because Tom Hooper is making a film adaptation of this musical, a live-action film adaptation. Oh my god!
Oh my goodness!
Before we can even talk about that, we've got to give our feelings on this. So, would you like me to start?
Yes, please.
Shall I tell a little story?
Please tell me a story, Brent.
So the reason that I pitched this film is because it's a humongous fucking pile of shit, and it's and I feel like most film students, film lovers would not really know about this because it was straight to DVD, and it's it's a film version of a stage show about fucking cats. So but I feel like it's important for people because I know a lot of musical theater personally, and I think people should know about this pile of crap. Because this pile of crap is revered around the world as one of the greatest musicals of all time. And I'm sorry, but this is, like I said, a steaming pile of shit. And I can't understand how anyone finds any enjoyment out of this. Back to my story, though.
Yes.
When I was a little lad...
Little Brenton, as it were.
Little Brenton, as I think I've said before, I had 3 sisters. I have 3 sisters.
they're all cats now. Right?
we all grew up together, and I followed my sisters to dance class and things and whatnot. Anyway, so we're all very close, and one of the DVDs we had for some reason, I think we got this actually from dance class when I was very little.
Okay.
We did a dance to one of the songs from Cats, and so my little sister decided, who I'll name drop, Savannah.
Yes.
Because we need to establish Savannah's name.
She should take you to Savannah this time.
that tortured us for many years because she pestered Mum and Dad to getting this DVD, and we watched it again and again and again. For many years, we watched this DVD because Savannah was obsessed with cats and loved cats and only ever wanted to watch Cats on repeat. There would be days, I kid you not, this film would play 4 or 5 times.
No. What was her reasons? Like, what was her, like...
She loves it. She loves Mr. Mistopheles especially. She just like, I don't know. Savannah had a weird fixation with cats. She also loved... she loved trash cat films. She also loved the Halle Berry cats. The Catwoman.
Oh, Halle Berry's Catwoman.
Have you seen that?
I have not seen that, no. I've seen clips of it, but I haven't seen the whole film.
Oh my god. It's like the most beautiful Greek tragedy you've ever seen in your life. It is like, it's one of those films so bad it's good. From memory. I haven't watched it in like a century.
I've seen a scene where she like...
A decade.
I've seen a scene where she jumps through lasers at one point.
Have you seen the infamous catnip scene?
Oh, yes, I have.
Oh, my God.
I thought Catwoman as a character, though, like, even Michelle Pfeiffer and Anne Hathaway, like, it's a mixed bag.
I can't even remember with the Halle Berry Catwoman what interpretation of that character it was.
It wasn't. I don't even think it was, like, it was Felicia
like
Hardy.
DC...
Or not Felicia Hardy, whatever her real name is.
Selena Kyle.
Selena Kyle, thank you, yeah.
Yeah.
Felicia Hardy's is Marvel's Black Cat, that's right.
I remember I was very confused when that came out because I was like, was she Black Cat? Like, as in, like, Marvel's Black Cat? Like, Spider-Man Black Cat?
Yeah.
But it's not. And I was like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?
Have you seen Halle Berry's acceptance speech?
Of the Razzies.
She won, yeah.
I love it. I love that so much because I think it was the year after she won the Oscar for...
Yes.
Was it Monster Ball she won?
Something like that,
yeah. Which I haven't seen, but... Sorry, Halle. But I have
seen
that.
Storm.
Man, if I was ever lucky enough to win a Razzie Award, I would totally rock up to that ceremony.
You'd do it.
Because why the fuck not?
Why wouldn't you? Like, own it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You made a pile of shit, own it.
That's fun. Like, yeah. Oh, man, so great. But yeah, so Savannah subjected me and my siblings to cats, sometimes on a daily basis. I was saying to Nathan before we started the show that I can probably safely say that this film is the film that I've watched the most amount of times in my life.
That's insane. Like,
And
that is actually insane.
How fucking unfortunate. Well, but it's a double-edged sword.
Thank God you omitted this from our 7 seasons episode. Like,
but it's a double-edged sword because, like, unfortunate. Like, it's so unfortunate that I was subjected to this, but it was also so fortunate that I still had enough passion for films after watching this pile of shit multiple times that I still had like a love to like go watch good movies.
Yeah.
Because this just... It's so bad.
I think this is easily the worst film I've ever seen in my life.
Are you kidding me?
Like, I genuinely, I'm looking through a catalogue of films that, like, I deem as horse shit. And out of everything, Brenton, out of every pile of just garbage I've had to sit through, like, this is easily the worst. It's not even a film. Like, it's not. Well,
no.
it's not. It's a film stage show. And, like, it's I just where do you start with something like this? Like, it's incoherent. It has no plot. It genuinely has no plot. It's literally Andrew Lloyd Webber just like stitching together poetry that T.S. Eliot wrote about fucking cats, like some nursery rhymes about cats. And he decided to put some like tunes to it, dress up people in the weirdest costumes you've ever seen in your life, put it on a stage, and just trip acid, and then just see what happened. Like, that's literally the whole thing.
I often imagine, like, the image in my head is Andrew Lloyd Webber sitting, like, at his piano in his freaking, apartment in London or whatever, with these 30 cats that he owns, like, in his apartment, and they're all fucking, like, inside the piano, like, they're on top of the piano, they're in the kitchen, they're everywhere.
They're all running about.
And I think his ex-wife, Sarah Brightman, is, like, in the kitchen, like, trying to cook dinner. She's like, Andrew, can you fucking help? And he's in the corner going, Jellicle, songs for Jellicle cats, like, and all the cats are kind of, like, moving to it, and he's tripping acid and writing this score. It's awful.
It's
and the
so
question
bad.
that I have, first and foremost, is why?
Like, what is the point of this musical?
To everyone involved, I have a question for why. Why, T.S. Eliot? Why did you write these poems?
Yeah, so anyway, so we're going to show this movie a lot, and yes, it's terrible in every sense of the word. Like, everything is terrible. There's maybe one or two bright spots in it, but it's very easy to blame Andrew Lloyd Webber, and we will blame Andrew Lloyd Webber for a lot of it.
Yes, I blame Andrew Lloyd Webber more than T.S. Eliot, but still, I think the question
T.S.
applies.
Eliot did write
why?
this. Yeah, like I've, not to brag, but I've got a degree in English literature. I've studied T.S. Eliot.
You?
What? Moi? I've written papers on T.S. Eliot, and I was completely unaware that he even wrote these nursery rhymes of cat fables. And so,
now you know.
And of all of his works, all of his amazing works that you could have chosen to put into a musical, he chose fucking cat nursery rhymes that are completely incoherent, that are just... I want to know what T.S. Eliot was on when he was writing this, because it's just the lyrics themselves is just it's like if Dr. Seuss got hit by a truck and he was in a coma and he was about to die and that kind of stuff, and he's starting to cough and that kind of stuff, and he's on 500 pills, and they're like, Dr. Seuss, like, do you have anything left to share with the world? And he starts just like incoherently spurting some lyrics to some cat poems, and they start writing it down, and then they're like, thank you, Doctor, we will make this your lasting legacy. That's what I think this is. I reckon T.S. Eliot was just channeling some like post-mortem shit and putting it onto paper.
I think Andrew Lloyd Webber's a very troubled man. That's the thing.
This is the man who made Phantom of the Opera. Like,
I think and I don't just blame Andrew Lloyd Webber and T.S. Eliot. I also mainly blame the team surrounding Andrew Lloyd Webber. Like, I know, like, this guy's at this stage has probably won a lot of awards. Like, he's done a lot of these great works.
They did Jesus Christ and they did all that kind of stuff.
Phantom of the Opera, like, and so they're like, maybe it was like a case of like, we'll fund anything you do, and his next project was Cats. But really, Cameron McIntosh, someone had to say to Andrew Lloyd Webber, so mate, what the fuck are you doing?
Because the whole show, even with the movie, like, because we'll talk about it as a movie and as a show, but like the whole production is just like you watching just people dressed as cats, just singing about how they're cats. There is no plot. There is no characterization. There's the loosest bare bones of some characterization. But there's two things I want to talk about with this. First, like, I think what really did happen was that I think a costume designer came up to Andrew Lloyd Webber and said, I've got like these insane sketches for a cat-based musical. I think we could revolutionize, like do the best costuming you've ever seen on stage if we make it about cats. And Andrew Lloyd Webber's like, okay, shit, let me go to a library, let's see what I can do. And I think he just found these cat poems. He's like, okay, let's make it fit the costumes. Because the costumes are like the main selling point for this show. I think thing number two is that when he also made this, something happened where the public, for some weird fucking reason, lapped this up.
Yeah, they were probably tripping the acid as well. I mean, this was the 80s. I don't know. I don't know what was going on.
This is the early 80s.
Yeah.
Like, it is very 80s, this movie, isn't it?
This is the second why I have to ask. Why, people on this earth, why did you go and see this show? Why has this become such a phenomenon? And why is this one of the most successful musicals of all time? When in my opinion, I think, and I genuinely think this, like, I can't say this about a work in any other medium. I can't tell you what the worst film ever made is. I can't tell you I can't tell you what the book ever written is. I can't, because there's a few that are down the bottom of that pile of shit.
There's a real niche
so there's still a debate.
Stuff, like.
There is no debate in my mind that Cats is the worst musical ever written.
And it's also like what it's done for theater, like it's so derivative. Like every music is the most generic musical song you can imagine. Like everything that it does is in service for just to show off some choreography or just to like show off like some weird cat moment. Like it's so contrived. I don't know. This feels almost like parodic. I feel like this is almost like a parody of musicals. Like
almost, yeah. It's
and
strange.
if you know what, if it is, then I almost want to give it a plus but I feel like it isn't. I feel like Andrew just tried and he just fell on his face.
The other thing is that this movie's really shit, and there's a level of enjoyment you can kind of have in moments of it. So that like at the start you're like, what the fuck? Like I looked over at you because it was just grand.
You and I watching this together.
I said to Nathan that there's no way you're going to be able to watch this by yourself.
And I stand by that statement. Like, and you could not watch this film by yourself.
And I didn't really want to watch it again because I just added like another a line to that tally of this is the film I've seen the most. You know, like I'm not even. There's nothing catching up to it at the moment because I've just watched it again. But but I did that for you because you need to watch it.
Thank
with
you so
someone.
much for doing that again.
No, my pleasure, because then we can have this great conversation. Because I feel like no one shares my pain. No one, like, people I talk to in the music theater community are like, yeah, cats.
Well, I feel like the musical Cats is definitely a thing the public knows about. Like, they know that musical. And, like, we've chosen to watch a movie, adaptation loosely, a filmed version of that musical. So, like...
But this specific production that's in this film tours the world.
It does.
Still. And people, like, it sells out. People go and see it.
I genuinely can't.
It makes that much money. Why would you... What the fuck?
there is a lot to talk about here, and like
I'm sincerely baffled.
I don't think honestly we can't spoil this film at all. Like there are no spoilers because there's no plot. So like I feel like
I was thinking today, like before we started this episode, like would there actually be a spoiler section? And I think there will be. I think what we're talking about now is that we get past the positives, the negatives, and then we move on to spoilers, and we'll just do a section talking about.
Honestly,
moments.
I just say, people, if you haven't seen the movie, listen to the spoiler section anyway. Knowing what happened in the film will not deter you from it. Like,
yeah, okay, agreed. I think in terms of watching this, like the start is kind of like it's exciting because you're like, this is fucking weird that like these people are dressed up as cats.
So fucking weirdly, like it's such a weird open because these cats come out like the garbage and they're just all like, and you see the iconic makeup and you're like, oh okay, so there's some cats wandering about, and then. Oh, one thing I should mention is that I'm going to jump around a lot here.
No, yeah, of course, because this musical jumps around a lot,
almost like a cat, and like. One of the things it does is that there's no dialogue. It's all song. It just goes from song to song to song to song. It's like you're listening to an album and it just fast forwards.
Not like an opera or like an opera kind of musical like Les Miserables or like a rock opera like Rent. It's just kind of there's no narrative to it. It's just kind of like it's like imagine like a.
It's almost like when you play a video game and you're about to select like what's that one where's that fighting one with Sub-Zero and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, Mortal Kombat.
It's like you're playing Mortal Kombat and like you're about to play the game. You have to choose a character. Literally, that's what this musical is. It's just cycling through all the different cats as characters, and at the end you got to choose one. And then it's over. Like, that's it. It's,
but the characters aren't even characters. They're just kind of
not even
like...
characters.
They're just kind of... They're fucking cats. They're just like...
Like, almost kudos to the man, Andrew Lloyd Webber, for trying to, like, draw characterization from just the same cats. Like, there's, like, a theater cat, and there's, like, an old rejected lady cat. There's, like, a slutty cat. And he's all trying to, like, make up stories about them. And, like... And you know what? As a plus, the actors are giving it their all.
Oh, they're going for it.
Like...
And I'll give let's do a little section on pluses. I've got 3 pluses. I said some of the cast are going are making some okay decisions. No one's really giving a great performance.
No, there's no Heath Ledger Joker in this. Like.
No. The second
I would love to see Heath Ledger Joker in this, by the way. Like.
The second pro is that
it's all part of the plan. Meow.
Oh my god. Let's put a smile on that face.
Meow. Just cuts him open.
Yeah, the second pro is that the dancing and the choreography is pretty incredible, and they go for that as well.
Also weirdly sexual, like overtly sexual.
That's
for a musical.
I feel like that's going in the con section for me.
Okay.
No, actually that's kind of in the ether. of like that's
Can you
part of the
tell-
story as well.
you saw this as a child, right? So like when you
Yeah, I was
watch,
saying to Nathan, like, it was very confusing sexually. Like, there was these cats running across the screen. There were actually humans as well, and then they had like some of the like, especially the female cats. There's lots of butt shots. There's lots of boob shots, and some of the cats like have got like kind of like cleavage. Like they're really accentuating like their sexuality, and even the movements, because the cats are kind of sensual, but like. It's like there's basically an orgy on stage at one point in this show. It's like
I remember I turned to him like, "Is this like a weird cat orgy?" And like, he kind of just like slightly nodded at me. I'm like, "What are we watching?" And please do not let that sell you on the movie. Do not watch this film if you want to see a cat orgy. One, if you do, look in the mirror and go, "What are your real motives here, mate?" And two,
no, if you do, just call up your closest like counselor and book yourself in
oh my
straight
god,
away,
because it's not worth watching. And then it really transitions after that scene to like some like attack between the cats. It's just so incoherent.
I think so. Yeah, but the dancing, the choreography is pretty good. They go for that, and they're doing like, because they're dancing all the way through this show. Like, there's no real break to it. They just keep fucking dancing.
Yeah, except for like the odd random solo song where you know the cast are just like trying to catch their breath.
They're like at the back, like drinking freaking Powerade and like pumping their hearts with adrenaline
like
and
cat's
then running
milk,
back
just
out.
like
Yeah, no, like physically, I think it'd be a feat to be in this show.
Yeah.
And the third thing I think is that some of the orchestrations kind of cover the fact that a lot of the songs are very repetitive and have got simple motifs. And by the orchestrations, I mean like whoever's orchestrated what instruments go where and whatnot makes the songs sound better than they are. Does that make... Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like... Yeah, like obviously the only song I enjoyed in this entire musical was Memory, which is like the only iconic song from this music, which is like... What is it? It's like... Memory.
Nathan.
Yeah?
Did you listen to Gus the Theatre Cat?
We'll get to him. Like, we'll talk about all the fucking cats in this film because, like, it's just, you know what? I like that song "Memory." I thought that was quite good. There's a scene where they tell a story about dogs. I actually really love that scene.
Yeah,
I thought that was a strong scene. I really liked it. I think out of context you could watch that and it'd be good. I liked the cat who was kind of the Hagrid figure of the community.
Oh, Deuteronomy's lived a long time.
I liked him, but like the rest of it, I just.
Well, I think
I feel that this film was made for 5-year-olds, like genuinely. Like it's so innocent and it's just pretty colors and nice songs.
But then it's not, because it's got that weird sexualized edge to it. That's like, if a 5-year-old was watching this, like, which. The 5-year-old has watched this, and in saying that, maybe like thinking back then, I wasn't really that aware of like how sexual it was. But as I got older,
you repress
like,
that memory until the therapy brought it out.
There's that red cat that's in this musical.
Yeah,
and it was like, I remember getting older and being like, what the fuck am I watching? like, holy shit.
Wait a minute.
Wait a hot second.
This isn't... I don't remember the Bible mentioning this.
My god, yeah. It's very confusing. Like, this whole scenario of how this came to be, the fact that it was made, the fact no one said no, the fact that it's been this successful, and the fact that it still runs around the world.
It's baffling, isn't it? Like,
and the fact that this is going to be made into a live-action film from Tom Hooper, starring Taylor Swift and Jennifer Hudson and Ian McKellen, I'm pretty sure.
It's bonkers, frankly.
It's bonkers.
Can we rate this shit and just rip into it? Because I want to really
Let's
rip
do
into
it.
this
Nathan,
thing.
you go first. Cats.
No. No. So many thumbs down. Never watch this film. Classic Thursday night. You will never watch this movie. Don't watch this drunk. Don't watch this with your mates. Don't if you love musicals, there's a billion other musicals to see.
Yes.
Never see this show live as well.
No, don't waste your money.
Don't.
And I genuinely, I mean, if you're going to watch this show and you have to watch this show, watch this version. Don't pay $300 for a front seat ticket.
Go on YouTube, look up a single scene from this musical. If you hate it instantly,
it's so
don't
boring.
watch the show.
Like, why would you want to pay? Like, I've
There's
never
so
seen
many
this.
good musicals out there.
I've never seen this show live because I can't fathom wasting the money on it.
You're just sitting next to people who are genuinely excited and you're just like, why are you all here? Like, unless it's like The Room where they all just rock up just so they can really see how shit it is. Like,
yeah. But even then, like, the fun of like paying for a room screening is that you get to be in an environment where you all shit on something. Like, it's like a communal thing. Cats isn't a communal thing. Everyone sits there attentively and like cries and
they're all waiting to figure out which
and,
cat
like,
goes to heaven, and you're just like, who gives a shit? Like,
yeah, I know.
eventually, when you find out which cat goes to heaven, I could not have cared less.
So for me, I'm gonna say, like, obviously, I'm voting no. This is a pile of crap.
I'm going to say yes.
But what I will say is that part of me wants you to watch it still, or watch scenes from it.
Just watch a scene.
So when you meet a cat's lover, you can shit on this film and tell that person why they're fucking wrong.
They're so wrong. I mean, I invite our listeners, if you love this film, please prove us wrong. Please, provide a personal experience of your own, like, about how this affected you, like, and why you love it so much. Because, like, genuinely, I've never heard anyone been able to defend this show. Like, I'm done. Wait till you hear. Tell you what, just wait till you hear what the people are saying. I've got some good things lined up.
Okay. So during this film, I wrote a list of all the cats' introductions, who the cats are, and because some cats have multiple songs.
They do, don't they?
So they're the characters with arcs in the show.
Arcs in the most loosest form of the word. Like,
so we start off with Jellicle cats, and we're introduced to Jellicle cats, and this song goes for about 10 minutes. And it attempts to ask and answer the question, which is never answered, and that is, what the fuck is a Jellicle cat?
That's the thing! Because I remember, like, because that opening number goes for so long, and you think it's over, and then there's a little bit of silence, and they just keep going.
It just keeps iterating on itself.
Yeah. And I remember turning to him like, what the fuck is a Jellicle cat? And you tried looking it up, and there was nothing on the internet. And
well, no, I looked it up, and all it says is Jellicle cats, and it's like, a reference from one of T.S. Eliot's poems about this fucking cats. Like I
some
don't know.
Stupid thing like that. And like, and then they finally sing the song explaining what it was, and I'm like, oh, fine, like, this is what a Jellicle cat is. And then they just all whisper. I couldn't understand a single word they're saying because they all gather around and like there's 20 cast members explaining it at once.
Yeah, and they start like speaking in like monotone, like a fucking cult all together.
Cat is something a cat, and you're just like, what? And I just couldn't make it out.
But it's like they're literally a cult. These cats. Like they've all got this weird religion of like the Heaviside Layer, and that one cat they're gonna sacrifice and send up every year.
And every song is just about them saying they're a cat.
And they all these young cats, all these young cult members, all look after old Deuteronomy, who's the head of the cult.
Yeah.
And he sends one of them up every year to go to the Heaviside Layer, and that's all he does in the year. But he gets all this special treatment and all this love and care and respect and probably food, because he's a bigger cat. Like, he's living well off. He's not starving or anything. So I think this whole thing's a ruse. Well, I'd like to think that because that would actually give it a plot.
It's just like a
some
cult.
substance.
Like, it'd be great if at the end of the musical they all just suddenly like take off their cat costumes and like the drugs worn off, and like suddenly the hall lights come on, and then suddenly they realize they've actually killed some old lady in their like hallucinogenic fit, and they're just like, what have we done? And then it just like cuts to black and the curtain falls.
Oh my god. Yeah, so like it ends, the curtain call happens, and they all kind of wake up and realize what's happened and where they are. They just fucking bolt out of the theater like screaming, and the audience is like, whoa.
Like shit.
And the audience, I'd clap for that, but like that is actually part of the performance, and that's what's actually happening in the show. And then like, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what I love about this movie as well? It doesn't have the audience in this movie, so they film the stage production and there's no applause. Yeah, so every time a song would finish,
there's just this awkward pause.
where you expect the audience at home to be clapping,
and instead we just yell at in our living room, "You suck!"
Like, I remember you and I just folding arms, just being like, "Nah, fuck this movie."
So then, after the opening number, we move to Monk. Well, during the opening number as well, but Monk-a-Strap, who's kind of like that black and white cat that's kind of like the leader.
He's given it us all, isn't he?
Yeah, so he's kind of the one that's kind of overseeing the whole thing. But he introduces Jenny Any Dots, who's this fat ginger cat that then isn't fat suddenly and tap dances with the mice.
That's right. God, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to forgive me. I kind of zoned in and zoned out of these moments. So like, I'm going to get these cats.
That's why I wrote them down. Yeah. So anyway, after that, we go into the Rum Tum Tuggers number.
Okay, him I love because he's the first, and I think only cat who actually says the word meow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well done. He went full method.
Could you imagine he's some like fucker from RADA who's been spending like years like training with like Stanislavski and all that kind of shit, and like he finally graduates and he's like ready to take on the world, and he ends up being a fucking cat for like
and they're like
years.
Well, I can't remember what the actor. I don't know who the actor was. Unfortunate for him, but they're like, we feel like no one's really embodying these cats, and then he just walked in day one of rehearsal and he went meow. And they teared up. They said, "You are a cat."
Yeah, here's your catnip.
Yeah, but no, Rum Tum Tug is probably my favorite.
He's
cat.
fun, isn't he? Like he just goes. I feel like the actor just knew he just didn't give a shit about this, and he's just like, well, he's also like really weirdly rock and roll. Like,
yeah, he was kind of like he's like an Elvis cat. I think that's the reference.
If Elvis was a cat, I feel like that's like the whole pitch of this movie. If this celebrity was a cat, like,
basically, if this stereotype was a cat.
He has like a weird sexual energy about him. Like the girls keep staring at his dick. Like there's a scene where like these four felines are like around him as he's like spinning his hips, and they're all just like staring at his ass, and
the red cat that I mentioned before that's very sexualized is always like all over him, and it's like a will they won't they kind of like start doing things on the stage, and you're like, can we just move on from this?
Please.
Like, yeah.
This film is so long as well, by the way. It's so long.
It's 2 hours. It's a runtime of 2 hours, but it feels like 5 hours.
Oh,
yeah, and I said this before we started. I said this film feels like 4 or 5 hours, and you didn't believe me. You're like, it's 2 hours. What could be the worst thing?
What could possibly go wrong? Neck when I'm fucking clawing out the window. I'm just like, cats land on their feet, don't they? And I just jump like.
Oh my god! So after Rum Tum Tugger, we are then introduced to the first iteration, like the first part of the arc of Grisabella the glamour cat.
See, I have in my notes, I call her the morning after cat.
Well, I said to you, I said, so when I was a kid, there was names that I'd give the cats that I didn't know.
Yes.
So the red cat was the sex cat, and then Grisabella was the red cat when she's older.
She's a little bit shriveled, she's had some wild years, but she's still having a drag.
She's
now
like
and then.
disease ridden, like they won't touch her. Like they're like,
that's the thing. Like they treat her like a leper, and you're like, what are you supposed to be?
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the thing: she sings all these songs telling her tragic backstory, but her words are literally incoherent. I couldn't make out a single fucking thing she was saying the entire musical, and she's welling and she's giving these amazing ballads, and I'm just like, I feel sorry for you, lady, but I've no idea what you're crying about.
Oh. But don't worry, because we're going to get more Grisabella as the show goes on.
Oh, aren't we, though?
Because then we meet Buster for Jones.
Yeah.
He's not skin and bones. In fact, he's remarkably fat. Thanks for that, T.S. Eliot.
Yeah. I think in his section, like, there's one point I loved in the movie where, like, one of the cats, like, runs away from him off stage, and as they, like, leap, the camera, like, does a slow-mo on them, and it's, like, the most, like, contrived thing you've ever seen. I'm just like it's like, oh... Just that one thing to prove that it had to be a movie, not a show, because we can do the special effects. I'm like, we'll get to special effects later on, by the way.
Buster Jones isn't really a character. He just is a cat with a ladle, and that's about all he does.
Yeah.
He's just
a cat with a spoon, and I'm like, I'm just like, why? Honestly, why?
So then we move on to another first iteration of a cat that we're going to get more of is McCavity.
Oh, McCavity.
And we don't see him. We just hear this lightning strike or something, and then someone goes McCavity, and then you hear this do 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 do, and then that's all we get at this stage. We just go into the next song. Why is this McCavity shit like? I don't give a shit about him at all. There's a weird lyric when they sing about him when they said when the deed was done, McCavity was there, and he looks like so rapey after that lyric, and I'm just like, what are you singing about? I could not tell you a single what any of the songs meant, like what a single song was about this entire musical. Well, clearly they'd announced who the cat was, and that's what the song was about.
Oh, it's for 5-year-olds.
I don't think McCavity
sexually turned on 5-year-olds. This is who this movie was for.
I don't think McCavity is going to the heaviside layer though.
No, McCavity's going to die in a ditch somewhere. Like he's going to be one of those dead stray cats you just see in Venice or some shit like that.
He already looks like halfway there. Like his costume is like the most like. None of them look like cats. Let's be honest.
None of them.
Some of them look like mice at best, but they look like old human beings running around in like lycra, skin tight, one piece suit things, with these weird afros on. But McCavity's the worst because he's got like this weird 80s like
yes, he's one of the most 80s of them all.
It's just weird.
This film is like badly 80s. Like there's adorably 80s and then there's badly 80s, and this definitely falls in the latter.
Badly 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
Then we move on to Mungo Jerry and Rumpel Teaser.
Is that the dog one, or is that
No, these are they're like the two kind of like thief cats.
Ugh. I didn't give two shits about them.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. Old Deuteronomy is
here we
this-
go.
Yeah.
I like him actually the
Deuteronomy's
most.
lived a long time. Yeah, I don't mind Old Deuteronomy. He's one of
Yeah.
my favorites too.
I feel because he also doesn't do that much. He just stands about. I feel like he's high off his face. Like he.
Well, he's the cult leader. He's the
yeah, there you go. He's the one that. Yeah, exactly. He's the one running that Scientology shit. Like, and he's just standing there, and they're all just like dancing around him, and he's like, "I'm the leader of this." Like,
Yeah, and then they decide to do a little song for him. So Munkerstrap comes forward and does the pigs and the pollicles, plus introduces the Great Rumpus Cat, which is the whole dog versus dog scene.
that's right.
Yeah.
I like that dog story. I thought that was the best scene in the whole movie.
Well, it was actually probably one of the only times that it made sense that they told the poem.
Yeah.
You know
Also,
what I
because there was a sense of a plot.
That's it, yeah.
Like the first time you actually get a hint of it, it's just
That's
like,
right,
oh,
yeah.
these cats have been
But
fucked
the
over by
Great
dogs.
Rumpus Cat, that costume's fucking crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Like, you know, when the hair stands up and he's got the big R on him and it's just... Moving on. Then we get McCavity number 2. And there's not much to say about this except he laughs. And I said to Nathan during the film, I said, so most cats go meow meow, but you know it's McCavity because you hear like, you know, the other cats meow meow, and then you just hear this.
That's the best impression I've ever heard.
And you know, McCavity, stop it. Come on, here. Do you want some tuna? Stop it. Like, no one gives a shit.
No one gives a shit. Do you reckon, side note, do you reckon this show would have been better live? Like, as opposed to being a film?
No.
No. Because I think at least as a film you can fast forward.
This is literally the show.
Yeah.
This film. It doesn't get better than
There's some
this.
special effects in this which we're about to get to that I think add nothing.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So then we get the Jellicle Ball.
Is this
that's
the orgy
been building
scene?
up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
Been building up to it the whole
so
time.
weird.
And then to cap that off, Grisabella comes back out and sings Memory, which is a good song. But
Yeah.
like, Nathan made a really good point at this point during the film. He said to me, this is a very emotional song. And there's great lyrics and this is a really good song. But I can't get past the fact that there's an old lady dressed as a cat on stage that's singing this song. And I agree. It's hard to put, like, usually like I like a film or like an artistic medium kind of invites your imagination to believe in what's happening.
Yeah.
And sure, this is inviting me, but there's a brick wall in my brain that just won't go along with it. I don't know, like,
It's just...
because it's a woman dressed as a cat. And it's not being addressed at all. Yeah.
God damn. I'm just done with
We don't have long to go because then
Okay.
we've got Gus the Theatre Cat.
Oh, here we go. No, okay, I'm back on board. Okay, I'm back in the boat.
All right.
This cat, I've got a lot to say about Gus, because they talk about this theatre cat, because you don't see him for a while, and then they say, okay, here's Gus the theatre cat, and he still stumbles out, and he's shaking, and like I'm like, what? and he's literally shaking. I'm like, what's going on with this one? And they start singing about him, and they tell some weird story about how he used to be in the theatre, or he used to, I don't know, like probably lick a theatre actor's ass or something like that. And then like he's just looking around so confused. Like he's the most confused cat out of them all. And then they sing a lyric where like he has the palsy. Like, okay, so you give a cat character cerebral palsy. Okay, whatever, sure, let's give a cat cerebral palsy. But then, like, as they're singing around, like he's just sitting there silently, and then he finally sings. And he sounds even more confused when he opens his mouth. And he's singing about he doesn't know what time it is, what era it is. Like, he's completely batshit bonkers. And it made me wonder if they just suddenly found, like, an old man outside the theatre. And the understudy was sick. And they just dragged him backstage, and he didn't say anything. And they just put some cat makeup on him. And they just shoved him on stage, and that's the product.
Well, obviously the actor's doing a very good job then.
He did a very good job, you know.
But again, it's an emotional moment, and he breaks down and stuff in this song, and you're like, oh, this should be emotional, but it's this old...
That's the thing, in any other context, you would be connecting with this character.
That's right. It's
But
if he wasn't a cat, like this old, just random guy that's used to have a life in the theatre, and now it's kind of moved past him, and he can't really keep up with it, and he doesn't really have a place anymore. Like that's a That's something you can relate to.
Mm. It's not
If
even the
he's
fact
not
that-
dressed as a cat.
It's true. And you know what? It's not even the fact that they're an animal. Because, like, you can watch something like The Lion King. You can watch
Yeah.
like, the Broadway version of A Lion King.
Yeah.
And you could definitely connect with, like, those characters despite the fact they're dressed as animals. Which I'm sure does look ludicrous. But the point that the Cats doesn't get across that Lion King does is that there's genuine arcs and traits. And
That's
really
right.
defining different features between each character.
And because there's not arcs and traits in this, everyone just stereotypes.
Mm.
And they do these caricatures that are, like, so infuriating to kind of watch. And yeah, there's no depth to it, at all.
Oh, it's just bad.
So then we get Skimbleshanks the Railway Cat, and I don't really have much to say about him.
No.
Except that his song is kind of a breath of fresh air because it's a bit upbeat after like 4 like ballads in a row.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
And then McCavity comes out again and steals all of Deuteronomy, and we get the 2 female cats that I kind of presume are like McCavity's exes. Because how the fuck do they know about him?
That's the thing. You'll completely have to guess like what actually is happening in this movie, and you're just
And so they sing about McCavity and weirdly touch their bodies and stuff, and it's just very odd and very sexual. Yeah. And then McCavity actually comes out, and there's a fight scene that's awful. That's like
it's so bad.
That's so bad. And then he kind of, I think he commits suicide because he gets like to like a car battery and like bangs it together above his head, and like it electrifies himself, and I think he just burns to death. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think he does.
He literally dies in the ditch. Yeah.
But also, I remember with the theater cat, like, he just randomly gets escorted off stage by one of the sexy cats as well, and we never hear from him again.
Yeah, that's
like,
it.
There's like weird exits.
If there was
for
a
half these
cat
cats.
that deserved to go to the Heaviside lair, it's the cat with cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
That's you know,
I thought he was the one that should
down
have
on
gone
stage.
easy.
You know, he probably should have gone. Like, ugh.
I was flabbergasted they didn't make it to cat heaven. Frankly, he should have walked up those stairs.
But then we enlist the help of magical Mr. Mistopheles to bring old Deuteronomy back.
How can you say these names with a straight face? I just don't understand.
What are you talking about, magical Mr. Mistopheles?
It's a
The
good tongue
original Conjuring Cat.
Oh my goodness!
There will be
here's
no
where the
doubt-
special effects
There will
come
be
in.
no
Here we
doubt
go.
about that. Yeah, look, Savannah's favourite song in the show. I've watched that song probably the most in the show.
Oh my goodness!
It's got a bad magic trick in it.
The special effects are horseshit.
And then he licks old Deuteronomy's face when he brings him
that's
back,
right.
and it's like this weird licking in. It's like, we get it, you're a cat, like, and that's great that you committed to that at the moment. But I don't need to see you lick an old man's
Is
face.
this so weird? At least it didn't have like a hairball joke in it, like a furball. But like, another thing, like, is this the scene where they have like the lightning effect?
Yeah.
See, it's like a weird like 1980s Ghostbusters lightning effect, and it's so out of place.
Well,
in this.
I think like the actual like explosion, like the spark effect is real,
Yeah.
like that where the lightning lands, but the lightning itself is added in, and it's like, it's not good.
It's just
I
not
feel like
good.
whoever edited this and was doing the work on this like straight to DVD release was like, look, we need to give our audiences something, anything.
Here's like a $500,000 budget we managed to pull together. Like,
and they were just like, look, let's just add some like sparkle effects and during the magic song, and hopefully that'll get us by. Ugh.
absolute waste.
So then we move on to Grisabella's final piece, where she finally sings Memory for the final time. And then the cats decide to get rid of her by sending her up to heaven.
Yeah,
To fucking deal with her.
yeah.
anymore.
It's supposed to be this big ceremonious like moment, but then like the Hagrid cat, what's his name, Deuteronomy or whatever, it's just like he doesn't even say it's her. They all just kind of assume he.
And they
picks
do
her.
this weird chant. They're all like, up, 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 past the up to the heavy side. And he never says it. Yeah,
No.
you're right. They just start chanting it. And when someone starts chanting, like if I was in a group and I just like laid bare like my feelings and my thoughts, and then the group started chanting that they were going to send me to heaven, I would get the fuck
You
out of
would
there
bolt. You
straight
would be
away.
like, I'm
And
getting out of this cult
And
immediately.
like all these cats have like eyes like psychopaths. They're all like staring at her like, yeah. Anyway, and so she gets on a tire. The tire like has a jet in the bottom of it, lifts up, hovers, and this weird cat staircase hand just descends, and she ascends the staircase and goes to heaven. And then old Deuteronomy sings How to Address a Cat, and the show's over.
And that's the thing. And like the end of the first act is so much better than the end of the second act, because it's the first act, they do like full song and dance. It's a whole big show. It's just sad by the end of the second act. It's like the end of Hamlet, and like it's almost like they're lamenting the loss of cats. I'm like, this whole world just makes no sense, and you're just left confused.
But they don't even address the fact that like the cat's dead. They just tell the audience how to address a cat, and then
Is that the moral of the story? It's like,
but that's what I mean.
if I started going up to my cat and started singing to it like weird shit from this musical, it would make no sense because he's dead. So like, I wouldn't know why you'd ever want to do this, even in a live cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a live cat would probably just like look at me and then like chase me and then swipe me or something and just be like,
memory. It's like, it's just scratching you.
Or it makes the macavity sound that we all know real cats make.
Oh my goodness! It's like in Predator when the predator like makes that weird evil laugh before it blows up.
It was literally the same laugh.
Like, they just got the sound bites and they just put it in the show. Like,
they're like, you know what would work really here for macavity? What? The predator's laugh.
You mean the Thriller laugh? All of it. Like, even though this was made before Thriller, like, let's just put it in. Maybe Thriller got it from the Cats musical. Like, Michael Jackson's like, we need the Cats laugh.
But that's the show.
Can I introduce a new segment into
go for it, dude.
Into this episode? It's going to be just for cats. I'm going to call it adding cats to cats. So I've written a list of some iconic cats from movies,
Okay.
and I want you to tell me if we added them into this musical, would it have made the musical better or still shit?
Okay.
Okay, so my first cat is Mike Myers, the Cat in the Hat. If he rocked up in this musical, would it be better or shit?
It would be better because it'd turn it into a horror movie. and then I think that'd be fun. Yeah.
That'd be, could you imagine like Mike Myers just running about just like
that? Like, I haven't seen the whole of the Cat in the Hat, that film that kind of came out after,
I actually
like,
liked it as a kid.
after
Believe it or not.
Jim Carrey did his Grinch, and then they were like, Mike Myers, he's big, let's do Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
But what I've seen is genuinely terrifying.
Oh, it's scary as
He
hell.
is a scary motherfucker. That Mike Myers is the Cat in the Hat. Holy shit! Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I was like, "Oh, special effects." I just didn't like pay attention.
Yeah,
to
of course. But
like,
when you watch it today,
I think I saw clips of that movie not too long ago, and I'm like, "Holy shit!" But you know what? If he was in this musical, I'd immediately give it 10 out of 10 because I think that'd be an amazing mix. Like Mike Myers just being like memory. There's like weird Scottish accent. He's got memory.
Next cat.
Catwoman. Halle Berry's Catwoman. If she rocked up in this musical,
Halle Berry's Catwoman.
Halle Berry's Catwoman.
Yeah, it would be 10 times better.
What about Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman? That definitely would belong in this. She's like, cat got your tongue? And she just like kills half of them. That's the thing. She just murders half the cast to get
the
to
whole
heaven.
cast and the show's over. Yeah. So Michelle Pfeiffer, you're in. Yeah.
Done. Okay, the Aristocats. Like the animated Aristocats just suddenly rock up. Like
No. Like no, because like let's not do that to the Aristocats. Like, they're real cats.
They're better than
They're
this.
actually real cats. Like, every other cat you've mentioned so far is a human dressed up as a cat. The Aristocats are like real cats. Let's not ruin their lives, or like, reveal like, I guess the true human, like how we identify ourselves.
It's
like,
true, they'll be insulted as cats. They're
as
like,
cats,
wow,
yeah,
this is
they're
what you
just
think
like-
we are? Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, what if the show had Tom and Jerry, but just Tom? And like maybe Jerry was running about the stage.
I feel like Tom would have a mental breakdown during the show. He'd be like, "Meow,
like
no."
Jerry would run on stage and he runs onto the stage with Jerry and he's trying to capture him and then he suddenly realizes he's walked into like a musical stage and he's like, what?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. I love Tom and Jerry, yeah.
Okay, what about Bill Murray's Garfield?
Oh my god.
Could you imagine him in this show?
Oh my god. No, I can't actually.
I think that'd make it immediately amazing.
Sure.
Like-
Sure, throw him in.
Like Bill Murray just giving like zero shits and he's just like
Yeah, he's
forget-
telling the hard truths. He's like, guys, just stop fucking dancing. Like, please.
Yeah, just
like,
stop dancing. Just have lasagna.
Yeah.
Who wants to go up to heaven? Like Meow. Like,
yeah.
or it's him from like A Tale of Two Kitties. So there's like two Garfields and they're just like running about the stage and they're both
my
singing
God.
memory to each other. Okay, what about Kitty Galore from Cats vs Dogs or Cats and Dogs?
Yes.
I think Kitty Galore would make this musical amazing. Like
Yes.
instead of like Kitty Galore murders Deuteronomy and like suddenly Kitty Galore's in charge
Oh my god.
and he's like they do the dog.
Maybe it's the prequel to Cats and Dogs.
Maybe it is.
Yeah.
That's like the start of their civilization and then like he suddenly whips out the spy gadgets and like yeah.
I haven't seen Cats and Dogs in forever.
Oh, great film. Holds up actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'd love to watch it
really
again.
holds up.
I remember loving it as a kid.
Jeff
Yeah.
Goldblum's amazing in it. He's so good as like the weird dad who's like twitching trying to find the cure for cats. Like, 'cause he's like allergic to cats. Like, oh, it's so good. Oh no, he's allergic to dogs. That's right. Because he gets the pet dog and he picks it up and he like rubs it against his face. And then Jeff Goldblum's like, ugh! And then he runs back into his little lab.
I gotta watch it again.
Great
I've gotta
movie.
watch it again. Yeah.
Okay, what about Puss in Boots?
No, let's not do that to Puss.
Oh, Puss in Boots would murder all of them, and I would
Yeah.
pay money to see that in a heartbeat.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
And then my last cat is Meowth from Pokemon.
Yes. Hell yes.
Meowth and Pokemon. I wanted to see him do a big solo number.
As long as Team Rocket can come as well.
Yes. Like the Meowth balloon just lands on stage and like the hot air balloon that they ride in. And then he dumps down and he's like, Memories. And he does that weird mouth voice like, I just want to catch Pikachu.
Yeah. I'm in for that. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Just add more cats. Add actual cats to the movie cats.
I reckon we just we go and find a bunch of homeless cats and just put them on the stage. Like real cats.
And just
real
watch
cats.
them tear shit down. Like.
Yeah, and like just make it like kind of like, you know, you make it a live theater kind of event and it's kind of almost like a zoo. But you just throw them in there.
Have you seen Rick and Morty?
Of course I've seen Rick and Morty, yeah.
So can we also can we add that, you know, the where they watch the cable? You know, like Mrs. Patterson did all the wrong things. You know, there's like that old lady dies in one of the commercials.
Yes.
And then the cat's
my God. Yeah,
and the cats control her. And
her decaying corpse. Oh my God. And they have the relationship with like that young guy. It's so messed up. It's good. Hilarious. The other thing I was thinking from Rick and Morty is, you know, Squanchy.
Oh yeah, that's
my
right.
God.
Or he just like takes his little pill and he grows like 10 times tall, and then he just starts killing all the cats. Really, any other representation of a cat is better than what we saw today.
Yeah, I agree. Probably any interpretation. Cats.
Fun drinking game with this episode or this movie. Just drink every time you hear the word cats. Just have a sip.
No,
You'll be so drunk by like 10 minutes in. Hey. Let's look at the Cats poster.
Yeah, sure. Let's look at it. Dude.
All right. So, Cats poster. There's two versions of this. I chose the one where you see the whole cast, and it looks, well, you know, viewers at home, or listeners at home, I should say, go look at it on your own screens.
Like, to be honest, like this is a bad poster, but it sums it up. Weird humans dressed as weird cats with a weird title. With a weird font.
What does that say? It's like, just says like, oh yeah, the world's best love musical captured on video forever.
Well, you know, I'm not the world, but I sure don't love this musical.
No. Do you reckon this is actually not like a DVD? This is actually footage of hell, and like they have to do this for eternity.
Yeah,
like,
you have to just witness this for eternity.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Forever.
No way.
There's nothing you could do to improve this poster to make me watch this film. Maybe if like one of them was like on a guillotine block or something. Like
maybe.
Yeah.
Even then. Cats. Title talk.
Were there cats and cats? No.
No, there wasn't.
There were no cats and cats.
There was no cats at all. Yeah.
Boo. Bad title.
What it should be called is humans with severe emotional issues dressed as cats trying to work it out.
Yeah, we'll call it like pioneering cat
therapy.
That's what we'll call the musical. We took some really mentally deranged people off the streets, and we just thought dressing up as cats would help them go through their problems. See, if at the end you suddenly it like a plot twist, they just suddenly like took off their cat costumes, and it turns out they've been in the mental asylum the whole time, like they Shutter Island it. I would have loved this film. I thought, what a genius move. Make it about mental illness and how expressing yourself through art overcomes that. I thought that would have been an amazing move. But they didn't.
No, they're literally cats.
They just told a story about some fucking cats. Like, because you could make this into something good. You could genuinely improve it if you wanted to.
But here's the question. It's not even a movie about cats. Or like a story about cats. Because no cats like send one of their own up to heaven.
To a kitty heaven.
It's that's weird. Like, I don't know. Or maybe they do. Maybe we just don't know what our cats do when they get out of their house and whatnot. And they run off to the Jellicle Ball and they sacrifice one of their own. Anyway, let's see what the audiences are saying.
Yeah, what are they saying?
The power to the people.
Let's just pass it to the people. So, I've got some reviews here. First, Rotten Tomatoes. Brand on Rotten Tomatoes, I'm very pleased to say the Cats has a whopping 20%.
Oh, yes! Yes!
It's still too high in my opinion.
Yes!
Frankly, far, far too high. But, you know, still low, but you know what? The audience score sits at 81%.
Oh my God, what
people
is wrong
are fucking
with
idiots.
You people? What
Obviously
is
not
wrong
our
with
listeners.
You?
Obviously our listeners are geniuses who know, you know, the right opinions. But mind you, like, we just have opinions. I'm sure obviously we're as wrong as anyone else.
Like exactly. Well, gosh, I would never claim I'm right.
No.
But I will claim that you're wrong if you like this.
Like, you're allowed to have your own opinion, but you're so wrong. Alright, so I've got a handful of people's opinions. So, Widget Walls, they wrote 4 out of 5. They said, sure, it might be barely plotless fluff, but it's well executed barely plotless fluff. It doesn't try to pretend to be anything else.
No.
I don't.
It doesn't pass.
Like, that's not an excuse.
I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, like sure, like there's some good dancing, there's a good orchestra, but
it needs to be more. There's not like there's the bare bones of a musical.
It's not even that. It's that if this is your favorite musical or whatever, like how is this enough? Like I just
All right, I'll get some here. I got some reviews that actually try and justify it. So Stephen M gave it 5 stars, and this is what Stephen had to say. At first glance, this movie seems like rubbish. I agree. Watch it once, and you'll realize there's little to no plot. But that's not a bad thing. This movie is a wonderful display of splendid voices and outstanding choreography.